Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up on the March 21st edition of Carolina Week.
Carolina fans have reason to celebrate as the Heels keep on dancing.
Tanning beds continue to be popular despite negative health warnings.
In sports, it's March Madness. While the men advance in Charlotte, the women move on out west.
Weathercaster Kathy Evans will tell us how high we can expect these temperatures to get in this first week of spring.
All that and a behind-the-scenes look at the NCAA tournament from a cheerleader's perspective.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
1 year ago today, the Heels were making their championship run in the NIT. Today, Carolina fans are back in more familiar territory, seeking another NCAA national title. Good evening, I'm Joelle Kaplan.
And I'm Eddie Sykes. After going 13-2 in conference play and capturing the regular season conference title, the Heels have won their first 2 games in the Big Dance and are on their way to the Sweet 16 for a record 24th time. The Heels had us on the edge of our seats all weekend, especially when they played Washington Sunday afternoon.
In yet another close game that came down to the final seconds, UNC's matchup against Washington Sunday afternoon had fans cheering and shaking their heads. This season has been far from easy for the Tar Heels, a reality many fans attribute to one thing.
We're all right, but we're still young.
All they need is experience. They've got the talent. They just need experience.
Until now, only 2 members of this year's team had ever played in an NCAA tournament game. But despite their youth, the Heels are moving on to the Sweet 16, something fan John Holland says he didn't always expect.
At the beginning of the season, I had some doubts, but Barnes really came away. If it wasn't for Barnes, though, we'd be a different team, I think.
Holland is looking ahead and says now he's singing a different tune.
This team could go all the way to the final, I think. I mean, in 05, no one thought we'd win a national title, and we won it with all those little guys and big guys. So I feel confident in the boys. I feel confident in White Williams.
Fans like Lori Souther are looking ahead too, but she says she's happy with what the team has already accomplished.
They are exciting to watch. Kendall has just been terrific to watch, and Harrison. Watching them develop as a team.
Sportscaster Andy Reeves joins us live in the studio. Wow, Andy, you know, a win is a win, but I was biting my nails the whole time yesterday.
Yeah, the faint of heart shouldn't be following this group of Heels too closely. I know they're certainly giving me some heart trouble, but the Heels are once again feeling fortunate after another close call. Yesterday against Washington, the Heels made some big plays down the stretch and were up 1 with only 5 seconds to go. Now Washington had the ball looking for the win, but watch John Henson deflect the inbounds pass. Dexter Strickland comes up with the ball and knocks down 2 big free throws. Huskies had one last shot but couldn't make the play. Heels hold on for the 86-83 win. They advance to the Sweet 16 in Newark this weekend. So Carolina playing well in the Big Dance this season after missing the party last season, something I'm sure Carolina fans are very happy to see.
Well, I'm very happy myself. I know you are, and we'll have more about the NCAA tournament coming up in sports. Thanks, Andy.
Turning now to the escalating crisis in Libya. During the weekend, American and European forces launched missiles to disable the country's air defenses. The United Nations Security Council voted to authorize military action and impose a no-fly zone over Libya last week. Currently, there are no UNC Chapel Hill students in Libya. We'll bring you more about the turmoil in the Middle East as events unfold. Following the recent earthquake and tsunami in Japan, Carolina students are doing their part to help with relief efforts. UNC's Japan Club and Carolina Otaku Uprising teamed up to collect donations with a paper crane fold-a-thon last week. Those who donate to help those in the Pacific received a paper crane in return. The Anime Club is also collecting donations. The organizations plan to be out in the pit again this week.
Last year alone, UNC had 94 graduates enroll in the Peace Corps. Only 2 other universities produced more members. Today marks the 50th anniversary of the Peace Corps, and the university celebrated by giving students the opportunity to talk with former members. Students interested in joining could fill out an info card or even check out the items members brought back from overseas. The celebration concludes this evening with a showing of a documentary about the life of Peace Corps' first director, Sergeant Shriver. Those of us who frequent Franklin Street have noticed a few changes this week. Restaurant and bar PT's reopened this weekend under new management, which will change the name to The Lodge soon. Owners plan to carry a similar menu and have the same feel, they say, as PT's, which closed earlier in January. But a block away, another store closed for good. Owners of Tar Heel Bookstore moved out late last week, saying they couldn't compete with online book sales. The bookstore has been on Franklin Street since 2004. The building owner hopes to fill the space soon.
They're not allowed in Chapel Hill, but food trucks are popular in Carrboro, and several were available Saturday evening to showcase their cuisine. Controversy surrounding food trucks has been building during the past few weeks. The police recently asked the owner of one food truck, Will and Pops, to leave the streets of Chapel Hill because food trucks aren't allowed to operate in Chapel Hill. Owners set up their eateries at the end of Franklin Street at Al's Garage in Carrboro. 5 food trucks were at the showcase where locals could enjoy food and music from local bands. The westbound lane of Franklin Street and the section of Church Street connecting Franklin and Rosemary Streets are closed to traffic for the next year. Construction crews closed these streets for public safety reasons as the construction of 140 West continues. Don't be surprised if you hear a few blasts from the construction zone. Crews will be blasting holes into the ground to make room for an underground parking garage. During these blasts, construction workers will stop traffic in the area. 140 West is a new development that will add apartments, retail space, and parking to Franklin Street.
By just walking into the doors of one building on Franklin Street, you can now get a glimpse of North Carolina's history and heritage. The main art gallery at 523 East Franklin Street is home to a striking exhibit of time, history, and memory. Local History is the ground we walk on, preserves the rich history of North Carolina with many different artworks. The display features donated Michael Jordan jersey, a heap of smoking tobacco, and a woven blanket out of whitewashed rubber coral snakes. The show features works by more than 50 artists, and you can get up close and personal with some of the works from now until April 29th.
Senior Chris Carter might seem like the typical UNC student, but he's actually the first ever UNC student to win the Gates Cambridge Scholarship. Katie Connis has the story.
More than 800 students applied for the Gates Cambridge Scholarship this year. Carter is one of only 30 recipients. The Merit Award will allow him to get his master's in Latin American Studies at the University of Cambridge in England. Carter was born and raised in the small town of Elkin, North Carolina. He's the first person in his family to go to college.
My mom and dad were especially excited because they had always, that was one of their hopes, that I would go to Carolina.
During the summer after his freshman year, Carter taught English in Ecuador. Living with an indigenous host family in a rural area in the Amazon rainforest sparked his passion for indigenous rights and movements in Ecuador.
You think you know about the world when you're sort of studying it and learning about it on television or whatever, but until you can really go experience a place, you don't understand it quite as much.
Carter also studied political history in Argentina and Chile and completed an internship in investment banking in Atlanta. Why do you think that you were chosen for the Gates Cambridge Scholarship?
Roy Williams always says it's better to be lucky than good, but you want to be both lucky and good.
Carter is a double major in history and political science. He's won 5 research awards at UNC, including UNC's Presidential Fellow, which funds Carter to visit conferences in D.C. and present his research about healthcare reform.
I work extremely hard, and that's the one thing I pride myself on, is working really hard. I study like nobody's business anytime I have an exam.
That work ethic seems to be the key to his success. In Chapel Hill, I'm Katie Connis, Carolina Week.
Carter will move to England in September to begin working on his master's at University of Cambridge. Well, if you didn't already know, yesterday was the first official day of spring.
And coming up after the break, we'll tell you why hundreds of students celebrated the arrival of the new season by covering themselves and the quad in a sea of color.
Healthy tomorrow begins with a solid foundation at home, and there are simple ways to start your kids on a path to success. Eat dinner together. Add veggies to each meal. Save treats for special occasions. And be sure to get up and play an hour each day. Help your kids make all of their dreams come true. Be our guest to healthy living today at letsmove.gov.
When you earn your GED diploma, the barriers in your life fall. Take the first step and get free GED information in your area at 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or yourged.org. Earn your GED diploma and begin your brighter future.
I'm home, and I love it. I'm home, where I belong.
It's always nice to come home, but many Americans are at risk of foreclosure and losing their homes. Making Home Affordable from the U.S. government has already helped over 1 million struggling homeowners like these. The sooner you act, the better chance we can help you.
I'm home, where I belong.
The use of tanning beds has increased rapidly during the last 30 years. Many believe it's a safer way to tan than lying out in the sun. Reporter Michael Blackman tells us there are still mixed opinions about the safety of tanning beds.
When Chelsea Dennis isn't working, she's usually under a tanning bed. And although these machines can be harmful to the skin, Dennis isn't worried because
I can control how much I'm getting. So it doesn't scare me because I do it indoors and I don't lay out in the sun. And when I do go out in the sun, I wear sunscreen.
Tanning beds have been under a lot of scrutiny through the years because many top health organizations suggest they can lead to skin cancer. In 2009, the World Health Organization classified tanning beds as carcinogenic to humans. Also, people who use tanning beds before age 30 are 75% more likely to develop a melanoma. Dr. Nancy Thomas is a dermatologist at UNC Hospitals. She says there's a definite effect from the frequent use of tanning beds.
In addition to skin cancer, eventually they get photo damage and it damages the skin, and so from a cosmetic point of view, eventually it does not look better.
Photodamaging is essentially the deterioration of the skin. It causes the skin to wrinkle and age prematurely, and it sometimes leads to the development of
melanoma is tricky because it doesn't have to get very big before it can be a fatal disease. All it has to do is penetrate about 1 millimeter into the skin and it can be fatal.
Despite knowing the risks associated with the dangers of indoor tanning, Dennis will continue to use the sunbeds.
It's not going to make you look pretty. I'm going to be old and wrinkly, but I'm okay with that. That's fine.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Michael Blackman, Carolina Week.
Researchers noted that the increase in tanning could also be related to an increase in melanoma among females.
Well, it's spring, so Polk Place is turning green. And Friday, it also turned purple as hundreds of UNC students gathered to celebrate the Hindu festival of Holi at UNC's 3rd annual Holy Moly. The event ignited with a burst of color as imported Indian powder paint exploded across the quad. Water soon hosed down the students, making the powder stick a little more. Students kicked the paint, threw it, and even used water guns to squirt classmates. Holy Moly is the UNC version of the Hindu festival welcoming the spring. More than 2,000 people RSVP'd to the celebration. Sophomore Blaze Hickey says her favorite part was being able to throw paint at complete strangers.
Just being able to throw it at anyone that you want kind of like makes it very spontaneous and like, I don't know, adds more excitement, and everyone just kind of like bonds like, hey, I want some yellow, throw some at me.
Proceeds raised from the event will go to the Bhutanese Empowerment Fund and the Mahatma Gandhi Fellowship charities.
One campus organization is working to preserve a culture you might not encounter every day. The Carolina Indian Circle held its 24th annual powwow on Saturday. The powwow featured a unity dance as well as dance competitions for men, women, and children. Some attendees wore traditional regalia made of feathers and other colorful materials. Drum circles even provided music for the event. And vendors sold Native American jewelry and instruments.
At the Carolina Inn, the first day of spring means it's time for the annual Birdhouses on Parade exhibit. A variety of local artists crafted the 77 houses that are now on display throughout the lobby of the inn. The exhibit opened yesterday and will remain on display through Easter Sunday on April 24th. Several artists went beyond the traditional birdhouse design, as you can see here. The birds might have to fly around the horses and the chickens to get into this one. The exhibit is free and open to the public.
I don't know, Joelle. I think a birdhouse might come in handy right now. With yesterday being the first day of spring, we're probably going to see a lot more birds outside.
Yeah, we definitely will, and those will come in handy because weathercaster Kathy Evans joins us live in the studio. Kathy, it's the first day of spring. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's certainly getting warmer out there, and finally winter is gone, and we'll look to those cold temperatures. It'll be a great day to be outside. We'll have the complete 5-day forecast coming up after the break.
All right, guys, we gotta be smarter about what we bite on, okay? I want everyone to go outside. We're gonna run Red Rover on 3.
What about you, Tony?
I'm gonna run around in circles, flatten my arms, and make engine noises like this.
When it comes to playing, we kids are the pros.
We're eating right, too.
We fuel up
To play 60!
If your school doesn't have a program, be a leader. Start one.
Click today and join the movement.
¿Sabes que hay una manera correcta de estornudar?
Vamos a mostrarles, Elmo.
Ajá, sí, pica tu nariz y sientes un achú. Ahora vas a ver, esto haces tú.
Alza tu brazo y tu cara cubrirás.
Ahí donde lo doblas estornudarás.
¡Achú! ¡Achú!
Si el achú se acerca.
¡Achú! ¡Achú!
Así es correcto estornudar.
Gracias.
Para obtener más información sobre cómo prevenir la gripe, visite flu.gov.
I got no pulse, still losing him.
Charging. He's in VFib.
Shocking.
Drives it road all the time. Just had a few drinks. Just can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear.
You just buzzed.
Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right, this isn't happening. He'll be fine.
I feel good.
Really?
No, not really.
Buzz driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shocking.
Well, what a great way to start off the season of spring. Yesterday, which was the first official day, we topped out in the mid-70s, and we'll look for these warm temperatures to continue as we head throughout Thursday before cooler wet temperatures set in for the weekend. And with the season in spring, unfortunately, we do have pollen around again, and we'll talk about those pollen levels around the area coming up. Currently on the satellite, you can see a lot of clouds out to the northwest of us. And if you woke up early this morning, we actually had a lot of clouds over us this morning, which was rather cool, but thankfully those clouds broke away and we got plenty of sunshine this afternoon with some partly sunny skies and allowed those temperatures to warm up to the mid-70s. On the surface map, you can see that low pressure system with all those clouds out to the northwest. We do have a high pressure system down to the southeast of us, and with that clockwise wind flow around that high pressure system, we're getting some southwesterly winds over our area this afternoon, and they will continue tonight, making things a little bit breezy, but it will be mild tonight with temperatures dropping down to the mid-50s, and we'll have partly cloudy skies as we head throughout those overnight hours. Now Tuesday, we will have a cold front just to the north of us. We'll be with partly sunny skies, though. We'll be on the warm side of that cold front. So we will have very warm temperatures on Tuesday. Expect highs in the low 80s, and all that rain will be back up to the northwest of us. So if you're headed out to the baseball game tomorrow night, it'll be great weather for this sporting event. Temperatures will be rather warm at the start of the game in the upper 70s, and then a bit on the more on the mild side by the closing of the game in the upper 60s. Wednesday's surface map, you can see we'll have partly sunny skies over the area on Wednesday. There is a cold front, though, back out to the west of us that'll come sweeping in as we head throughout Thursday afternoon. We could see a small chance of rain late Thursday afternoon into the overnight on Wednesday, but mostly expect most of us to stay dry as we head throughout Wednesday night. Now, with the season of spring, unfortunately, we do have very high pollen levels forecasted for the week. This pollen monitor is on a scale from 0 to 12, and we were at about a high 9 today, and we'll expect the levels to continue as we head throughout Wednesday and Thursday. So if you are allergic to the pollen, make sure you have your allergy medicine handy for the next week. Tomorrow afternoon, expect mostly sunny skies. It's going to be hot, though. Temperatures topping out nicely into the low 80s. As we head throughout the next 5 days, you can see those 80-degree temperatures continue through Wednesday afternoon, again with a very slight chance on Wednesday night for some rain, but mostly everybody will stay dry. And then Thursday will be sunny, a bit on the milder side with temperatures only in the mid-60s, and then by Friday and Saturday, a lot cooler in the upper 50s on Friday, and those overnight lows get a little bit chillier by the end of the week as well, back into the mid to upper 30s, but overall, really not too bad of a forecast.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this forecast. It looks great, except for the pollen. I have to say, I'm not looking forward to that.
I know. I feel really bad for anybody out there who has pollen allergies.
Well, thanks so much, Kathy. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Kathy.
UNC students voted for it, and they got it. Snoop Dogg is coming to Drop It Like It's Hot in Chapel Hill in April. The video game company Electronic Arts held a contest on its Facebook page promoting a new video game. The university with the most votes on the Facebook application was promised the concert featuring the famous rapper. Because UNC had the most students participate in the contest, Snoop Dogg will perform here at no cost next month. Concert organizers hope to hold the event outdoors, and it will probably limit the concert to valid UNC One card holders.
Well, sportscaster Andy Reeves joins us live in the studio. Andy, this is definitely my favorite time of the year. I know it's probably yours too.
I'm saying, you know, we're winning Snoop Dogg concerts, we're winning basketball games. Look out Charlie Sheen, because we're winning right now.
Absolutely. The Heels are doing a lot of winning right now, even if it is by the narrowest of margins. Coming up after the break, we'll show you why the Heels are still dancing further into March.
Creo que un compañero de clase de mi amigo tiene algo llamado autismo. El hijo del hermano de mi amigo tiene autismo. El hijo de mi vecino tiene autismo.
Mi hijo tiene autismo.
El autismo está cada vez más cerca de casa. Hoy, 1 de cada 110 niños es diagnosticado con autismo, un aumento del 600% en 20 años. Conoce las señales del autismo en autismspeaks.org.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Andy Reeves. The UNC men's basketball team is right where fans want it after making an exciting return to the NCAA tournament. Justin Page was in Charlotte and joins us live in the studio. Justin, does this team just like to keep everyone sweating bullets?
Well, Andy, it certainly seems that way. We all know what happened at the ACC tournament in Greensboro, and this weekend wasn't all that different. The Heels picked up an ugly win against Long Island on Friday, but saved the real drama for yesterday's game against Washington. Early on, it looked similar to the ACC tournament. Washington went on a big run and led by as many as 11 points. But look at the Heels right here working the fast break. They'd come back and trail by only 1 at halftime. Then in the second half, the teams traded punches until who else? Harrison Barnes knocks down the 3 right here to take the lead. And Andy, you showed it earlier, Henson's deflection saves the day. Heels hold on for the victory and are headed back to the Sweet 16. So at the end of the day, the game might have been a little too close for comfort, but wins are wins. Hard to complain with that.
So Justin, what's keeping the Heels from putting together a really solid game?
Well, right now, Andy, a couple things are really standing out. The first is turnovers. The Heels just aren't taking care of the ball. They actually turned it over 27 times in their 2 games this weekend. You can't do that against better teams. And second is making easy shots. Yesterday, the Heels had trouble finishing around the rim and left a lot of points on the floor. Now, Carolina will need to fix these mistakes before its trip to Newark. There you see the bracket, arguably the toughest region left. Now, Marquette did the Heels a favor by knocking off Syracuse. A lot of Heels fans were dreading that matchup. But even if the Heels get past Marquette, they could face the #1 overall seed in Ohio State. Many people believe the Buckeyes are playing the best basketball in the country. But we don't want to get too far ahead. Coming up on Wednesday, we'll preview the Heels matchup against the Golden Eagles.
Looking forward to it. That's Justin Page live in our studio. Thanks, Justin. The women's basketball team will face Kentucky after beating Fresno State in Albuquerque Saturday. The Bulldogs are the nation's top 3-point shooting team, but Italy Lucas was the one feeling it from the Bonosphere. She hit 4 triples in the game. Shea Shagog also chipped in with 12 points. Coach Hatchell wasn't pleased with the narrow halftime lead, but the Heels pulled away in the second half. There you see Lucas giving the Heels a 10-point cushion. They go on to win 82-68. North Carolina women's lacrosse coach Jenny Levy is celebrating her 200th win after beating Georgetown on Saturday. The Hoyas jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead. That's a nice goal there. But UNC fought back and scored 6 of the next 9 goals. That's Laura Zimmerman. She led the team with 4 goals, including that one there. and the Heels took a halftime lead and never looked back, getting the win against Georgetown 13-10. The Lady Heels will play Cornell on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the men's lacrosse team is reeling after a tough loss to Duke this weekend. The kids are still friends through the rivalry, but most Carolina fans are feeling burned by shots like that one. The Heels fell behind early as Duke dominated the first half to take an 8-3 lead into the break. The Heels came out strong in the second, scoring the first 2 goals, but they couldn't keep the momentum. Carolina loses 14-9, and with the win, the Devils pulled it within a point of UNC in the Battle of the Blues. Carolina still leads 9-8. It was a busy weekend for the Carolina softball team as Virginia Tech came to town for a 3-game series. Laurie Spingola pitched well on Saturday, but the offensive spark came off the bat of Brittany Robinson with this 2-run homer. Robinson added another RBI late as the Heels won the first game of the doubleheader 3-0 and beat the Hokies again in the second game 3-2. Carolina was back in action against the Hokies yesterday. It fell behind early, but fought back with this RBI single by Allie Blake. Carolina couldn't get another one and fell 2-1. The Heels will play at Campbell this Wednesday. So between softball, lacrosse, and women's basketball, there's plenty of action to get Tar Heel fans geared up for the Sweet 16 game on Friday.
Absolutely. I know we're all looking forward to it and looking forward to continued coverage on Carolina Week on Wednesday.
Thanks so much, Andy. Well, you see them at every home basketball game and every tournament game, but they're not the basketball team.
Coming up after the break, what it means to cheer on the Heels and fire up other Carolina fans at the same time.
If you have a story idea, call Carolina Week at 919-843-8292 or email us at carolinaweek@unc.edu. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNC-CH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina 27599. Be sure to check out Carolina Week and Carolina Connection online at carolinaweek.org.
So much focus is put on the men's basketball team playing games, but what about the cheerleaders on the sidelines?
Well, our own Preston Stanley is a team member and gives us the inside scoop on what it's like to cheer at championship games.
Beth Landon has cheered at UNC Bowl games, championship games, and she was there in April 2009 when the men's basketball team took home the NCAA title.
It was a really great experience to be able to be on the court. When the confetti fell down, it was just pure joy. You know, you're happy for your team, you're happy that you get to be there and be a part of it.
Looking back on her college career, Beth sees cheerleading as more than just the sport she played.
Cheerleading and my college has been together. One, my best friends are, have cheered with me all 4 years. It's one-in-one, hand-in-hand college and cheerleading.
Assistant coach Kristen Royals is a former UNC cheerleader who cheered the men's basketball team to the 2005 NCAA title.
You felt very connected to the team and everything that was going on the court, and it felt like a little family.
The 3 practices and 2 weight workouts each week are common in cheerleading, but Kristen believes the anonymity of this squad is what makes it stand out.
Our main focus is to focus on the impact and the image that we portray for the school instead of drawing attention to ourselves as a program.
Still, for seniors like Beth, they're cheering their hearts out in their final games.
You have to take every game in like it is your last one, and that you have to get the best out of every game, win or lose. You have to experience it like it's the last one.
But lucky for the cheerleaders, they've still got at least one more game as the men head into the Sweet 16. In Charlotte, I'm Preston Stanley, Carolina Week.
You know, Eddie, I think you might have made a pretty good cheerleader. Did you just miss the tryouts or something?
I missed the tryouts, exactly. No, you know what? I had a couple cousins who cheerleaded, and they oftentimes tried to get me to participate, but I guess I just never jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah, it does look like a lot of fun, but that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.